up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk podcast. I got my guy Brandon with me, and today, man, let's have a little conversation. One of the worst things that you could hear, especially from a loved one, uh, is hear them say, "Hey, I need to talk to you," or "Let's talk," without giving any context. And so today, I made sure to give Brandon some context of what it is that we're talking about, what it is that we're discussing on this episode. We're both youth pastors, and so that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about our time in student ministry because we want to give you guys some insight on what it is, on what it's like being a youth pastor, some things that we've seen, some things that we've done, some exciting things, and some challenging things. And so Brandon and I, we've known each other for well over 4 years now. Been in this area for going on 5 years, and so we've gotten to know each other. We've gotten to spend some time together. Send some questionable text messages as well. But that's what it's like.
Laundry, man.
That's what it's like when you have close friends, not just friends, but close friends, people that you can send some questionable messages to, and they're right there with you. Don't even ask about the TikTok messages or TikToks that we send each other, because it is off the wall. But it's fun. It is fun. And so today, Brandon, we're going to talk about our time in student ministry as youth pastors. So real quick, let me know and let everyone else know how it is that you got into youth ministry.
Man, like you throwing us on blast like right off the top, man. Like, man, now I'm gonna get questions if anybody sees this, and then I'm gonna get questions like, all right, so what are you talking about? Okay. There are certain individuals out there that are part of and privy to those things too. So if they see this, they're gonna chime in too, I know. But thank you for having me step in this zone and kind of pulling me out of my comfort zone. Like you said, good over 4 years. We've gotten to know each other, become real close. In the same sense of where he's talking about the crazy messages that come back and forth, we do have some like real like deep and in-depth conversations that we're there for each other and stuff as well. So don't think it's just all the jokes. We've got each other's back like really well. But
that we do.
To answer your question, going into when it comes to youth ministry, so the church that I'm currently serving, and I have been in this church since I was 19, basically, when I started coming. I was invited to a youth hangout type of thing by my by my wife. Her best friend is both our best friend. So like I've known my wife's best friend longer than my wife's known her. It's a whole thing, whatever. But got invited. We came. We showed up. Me and my brother, and that's how I got involved in this church. So when you are graduating high school and like first starting college, you're trying to find a place in the church for you. You feel like, hey, I can't like join all the adult stuff because they're all a lot older, and so I don't feel like fitting in there. I just got out of this season of life, so I'll just go hang out with the youth group and stuff and see what I can do there. And that's kind of how it all started for me. Being a youth leader, a youth sponsor, whatever you want to call it. And fast forward to 2018, my pastor at the time says, hey, like, I need you to do something for me because our youth pastors were going to itinerate to be missionaries to Spain. And for those that don't know, itineration, you're raising funds to be able to go be a missionary. So they had to go do that full time. And so I stepped in, and my pastor at the time was like, hey, you're the interim guy until I figure out kind of some things that are going on, because he was going through some health struggles. And so from 2018 on, I've been the guy up until just like 2 weeks ago, where I stepped into a new role. It was time to pass the mantle on to step out of youth ministry. And so I spent a good 7 years being the guy. And now I get this opportunity to walk into, but also I get the opportunity, I guess, with you to kind of share some of those nuggets of wisdom. I guess you can call them wisdom from me. I don't know. I don't know how wise I can be considered at times, but yeah, that's the gist of it.
Coaching.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Love my time out there. Met some really cool people, some great friends. Still to this day, people that I talk to. Man, we had again. That's my first year, and we see some very high highs and some very low lows in ministry. But can you tell me if some good times, man? A time where you say, man, this happened in ministry, and it was just great. It was awesome. We had a ton of fun.
So every youth pastor's got this database that they build up in their mind and their heart of like all the good times, the bad times, the everything in between. Like you mentioned, it is that roller coaster, just constantly going. And sometimes it's hard to think of those things. Like if somebody asks you this question, it's like on the spot, give me something, and you pause for a second. But I think those times look different for everybody, of course, but I think the way you gauge them can be different as well because I know there is a season where youth pastors always want this like giant youth group. You want 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 students, and that's a great thing. But at times, I think the smaller group, uh, there's a season for that for certain reasons, and I think it's a blessing in some ways because you get this impact on certain students that you may not in other seasons. And so, as 2019 range, me and my wife, we had the opportunity to have some students that one of them showed up from a fall festival that we did. It was the granddaughter of one of the members of our church, and from there she started inviting a couple of different friends, and so we had a good like 5 or 6 regulars that were coming, and it was a fun season. I got to take them to youth camp, and I think this is kind of where I saw something that was awesome because this group really didn't know each other extremely well. Like one or two of them did, but then they started inviting a couple other friends of friends, how that chain works. And in our time when we go to youth camp, we take our students' cell phones. We want them immersed in camp. We don't want them being hindered by anything that's going on at home and everything like that. Um, by the end of this, we're on the way home, and these students are like, "Hey, thank you for taking our phones. Thank you for bringing us to camp. We didn't really know each other extremely well before this, but now, hey, we've gotten to know each other. We've built this bond. Like we're this really close group, and like I'll tell you, even to this day, as they've gone off to college, they've gone off to do different things. They may not be in our church, but I still see social media updates from these guys, and like a good majority of them are still close to each other, still hanging outside of in their everyday life and everything. Like it's this it's a nice thing to like kind of look back and be like, all right, cool. Like that's where it all started. And this is also the same group that walked through COVID, and so like this is the same group that we had in our house. We were like one of the only places their parents would let them go was like either our house or if we met like in a Target parking lot, whatever it may be. But like this was a group that we got to go through some of like the oddest times in our human history with. So that's just one of them.
I get that. Dude, there's always going to be those moments um, as as a youth pastor in student ministry where you look back and say, man, these were some exciting times. These were some rocky times. Even now, the power is going in and out. Uh, because that's just how things are. Ministry is very unpredictable. There's one moment that you have everything planned and you think everything's gonna go this way, then out of nowhere you're hit with something else, and now you have to readjust and change everything it is that you are doing outside of that. Uh, one of the most difficult times for this nation as a youth pastor was 2020, and having to minister in or during COVID. What are some things that you guys did during that time, and how did you overcome or how did you meet with students during that time during COVID?
Man, that's uh every generation has that event that they remember that like I remember when this happened. Like for my generation, it was 9/11. Like I can tell you exactly when, where, what I was doing at that moment, all the events that were part of that. Now, for this generation that kind of came through during that time in 2020, that generation, COVID is their thing. But what's funny is that a lot of them, at least the ones on the younger end, my daughter tells me this. She's like, I forget that COVID was even a thing. Like, it's crazy, but like the ones that were like old enough to really kind of understand and grasp the magnitude of it will never forget it. And so like during that time, churches were like they were put on roller skates, like using basketball terms. They got put on roller skates because of the fact that like they couldn't get their footing like right off the bat. Like it's just hit so quick. It was like, what are we gonna do? And like there are some great advancements in the church world that came from that, like being able to live stream, being able to just even take recording your services a lot more seriously. There's a lot of things that came from that. But in that moment, you're sitting there like, okay, what are we going to do to be able to reach people? Um, and for youth ministry, you magnify it almost because you've got parents that are concerned about their kids and their health and everything. Like, I don't want to expose my kid to anything that could possibly cause this because of just everything that was going on with it. So, like for us at first, it was Zoom. Like Zoom took off. Like you should have invested in Zoom stock like in 2019, and you would have just seen like massive returns. But we started off with Zoom for a while because like that was the platform that you could utilize, and that's what schools were doing. That's what kind of most people were having to go through. So we did that. It was very weird sitting in front of a computer screen, looking at the faces or ceilings or whatever of 4 or 5 different students that jumped in and trying to share the word of God through a camera lens to students that are watching live. But we did it. And then we finally got to this place where we were bold enough, like, okay, thankfully this group that I had, most of them could drive or somebody could drive and pick up the other ones. So we're like, all right, we're going to change this up a little bit. We're going to socially distance and we're going to sit in a Target parking lot and we're going to do service in a Target parking lot. So, I mean, that's what we did for like a week or two. And then finally it just came to this place where it's like, these parents knew that, hey, these are their students' friends. They knew that, like, this is the youth pastor. They can trust, like, hey, I'm going to let my kid go at least to somebody's house that I can at least accept. And so it eventually became this thing where they all just met up in our home and we did youth group in my home for a while. And so, and eventually, the world opened back up and everything came back around and we were good to start back up. But yeah, COVID, that was just as hard as it was at times with things. It was just it was it was really challenging. It was really stretching, and I think it God gave us the ability to kind of look at some things and be like, all right, how can you do ministry and how can you reach people in a time where you may not have the easiest of access to them. I think we saw a lot in that moment, and I think God was like, "Hey, learn from this."
Yeah, I think a lot of places picked up kind of quickly how to keep going. I remember that time very vividly. March 15th was a Sunday. Uh, that was the day, man. I got out of service, drove 4.5 hours to go visit. Then she was my girlfriend. What she didn't know was that day that we were there, because it was our anniversary, she didn't know that I was getting ready to propose that day. So March 15th, the day that I proposed, 2 days later on March 17th is when everything shut down in the state of Texas. and we're all scrambling like, man, I don't know what we're gonna do. The church that I was in at the time, we were already live streaming, but that break, that pause, allowed us to get even better at it, to do more as far as production, camera angles, learn how to really get out there and put a good product out on social media for people to watch, because that's what it ended up turning into, is people just watching for, I want to say it was like almost 2 months. I know we did Easter all on as a recording. There wasn't anybody in the church building until a couple weeks after that, where they said, hey, you can open up, just social distance. They gave us all these guidelines to be able to open up, but it really taught people how to redo relationship during that time where you couldn't meet, you couldn't be one-on-one in person, you couldn't do all that. So we had to relearn how to do relationship and do it well. For ministry on our side, and it was just putting content out there on socials, getting it in front of students to watch. Hopefully they were watching, because I had the feeling, like, man, they just turned it on, or we just went to do it, whatever, start playing on the game or whatnot, whatever it was that they were playing at the time. And man, just doing that, it really caused us to really turn around and focus on how to do ministry and how to do it well as far as relationships, to get better at that. So for us, I mean, it was weird for me too, because I moved from Friona to here during that time as well. And so not knowing if this new church that I'm at is never able to visit, never able to come in and see the congregation, see the youth group, just had to do it all from word to mouth, from Zoom meetings, kind of like how you and I are having a conversation right now. That's how it was. And so we had to, I came in not knowing how anything was going to be. Then I get here, start meeting students, start building relationships, start growing. It's like, man, we're going to turn this up a notch, because the relationship side of ministry can never fade. And how you do ministry will always change. I think it was Andy Stanley that said, date the model, marry the mission. How you do ministry, how you do your services will always change, because it's ever changing. But the mission will always stay the same. And it's reaching people for Christ, growing God's kingdom. All of that is always going to stay the same. So the mission that we're on is always the same. The model in which we do it will always be different. Listen, one of my favorite TikTok pages is the Youth Pastors Chronicle, where they're always showing very, very sketchy youth pastor stories. And I've even submitted 2 stories as well. I'm just waiting for them to do it. Can we talk about some sketchy times, some sketchy moments in ministry? For me, I'll go first and I'll share it. Because if I wait for them to say it, they may not ever post it. But for me, I was getting ready. We were doing a campus ministry. I was getting ready to be on campus. And I found out that the fly on my pants broke. Like the zipper would not go up whatsoever. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I cannot go to this school with my zipper just hanging out open. That's not a good deal. They're going to walk me away with matching bracelets. And I'm not trying to have that. And so we have a Dollar General just right around the corner from the church. So I run over there, grab some basketball shorts that I thought were in my size. I was like, all right, cool. I'll fit these without trying them on, anything. I run back to pay for it, run back to the church, throw them on, find out they are very tight in the front. I mean, you can see outlines. And this is 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be on campus. And I'm telling myself, man, I cannot go on campus showing no outline where you can see anything. Again, I'll be walking away with matching bracelets around my wrist. And so I have my pair of pants. I'm like, man, I gotta fix these somehow, some way. And I start messing with the pants, messing with the zipper. Finally, I got it fixed. And I can throw the pants on, and everything was fine before we got on campus. and I got into some trouble. So tell me, if you could share a story, a time where it's just, man, it's funny or sketchy.
So you talked about the Youth Pastor Chronicles TikTok page. Those guys are hilarious. Like you listen to some of the stories, it's like, wow, okay. Very questionable, very matching bracelets material on that one.
How are
I
you able to pull that off?
I actually did have one of my what I'll share here. It's actually on one of their podcasts. So I think it's somewhere like episode 100. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too bad, but it was something. So I'm hosting a lock-in, a youth pastor's most favorite event ever. And so this lock-in, I'm expecting I'm only expecting like 6, 7, 8 students, like 10 at the max. Well, friends invited friends invited friends. I've got like 25, 26 students at this lock-in. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, granted, our old church building was, I wouldn't say a sketchy part of town, but it was like, it's not like the greatest area of town, but we're kind of tucked away, so it would have been all right. Well, you got to find things to do for a lock-in. And so there's some classics that you go to. And one of the games that we decided to do was we got outside and played kick the can. Well, one of my leaders that was kind of helping me with the lock-in that night is the daughter of one of our board members. So like she's grown up in the church, trust her and everything. Well, we're going about the events of the evening. She needed to borrow my church keys for something. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to give you my keys. Go do what you got to do. Well, I've taken all these students outside to go play this game. And so we're outside and we're talking, it's like midnight, 12:30. Like, it's late, okay? So we get done with the game and I'm like, all right, cool. Let's all go inside. And I'm looking for my keys. And I cannot find my keys. Now, when you're at a lock-in, you want to make sure that all the doors are locked so nobody gets in, right? Well, that's a good thing if you have your keys when you're outside. So, problem was, I never got my keys back. This young lady didn't bring my keys back. She just set them down in our youth room inside the church, never gave them back to me. So we're 12:30 in the morning, and I have 26 students and stuff and myself locked out of the church with no way to get in. So thankfully, this leader of mine lived not too far from the church. So she called her dad at like 12:30 in the morning. It's like, hey, Dad, I need your church key because the keys are locked in the church. So she drove home, went to go get her dad's key to be able to come back in to let us back in. So it was the first lock-in that I had hosted. I had kind of just taken over things as well. So it was literally like, dude, I just put 26 kids out of the building at past midnight. Like, I was like, oh man. So yeah.
So with those sketchy stories on that Youth Pastors Chronicles page, which one is your favorite one? For me, it's the Feel Me Daddy episode. I laugh at that every single time because he has to know. He has to understand what it is that he is saying.
Oh, dude, I don't know if I can pick one. Like I'll tell you this. I've heard a ton of them, but I don't necessarily commit a ton of them to memory. Like I'll laugh in the moment, but I'm like, let me not commit these to memory because I feel like if I do, something's gonna happen later on down the line, and I'm like, nah, I don't commit most of them to memory. I just know there's a ton of them that have definitely had me chuckling a lot more than others.
It's because of that page that I make sure to watch every single thing that I say because I don't want to end up on there for saying something I'm not supposed to say or doing something I'm not supposed to do.
Bro, I'm about to hold on. I'm about to expose you though because you are the same guy that will sit there and try to include certain either phrases or lyrics in your messages that you share in a church. So you may watch what you say, but like you ain't afraid to say something crazy either.
Absolutely. I'm gonna make sure it's safe though. My favorite one it comes from The Office. All of my Office fans already understand. They already know. Oh, I know exactly what it is that he's about to say. Especially if you're a Michael Scott fan. You already, oh, that's what she said. If I can throw that in there, I'm saying it. I'll even set myself up. I had, so our pastor's middle son, all I would have to do is give him a look. That's how connected we were. All we had to do is turn around, look at each other in a certain way, and we knew exactly what was being said. I set myself up in the message one day, and all I did was look over, and he said it. It didn't take 0.2 seconds for him to say, "That's what she said," but it was said. That's how connected we were, and that's something that I love about youth ministry, man. It keeps you on your toes. It keeps you young, and when you build those relationships, when you are in tune with these students and you have that relationship with them, then you can have some fun and you can have some real fun. It doesn't have to be serious all the time. Yes, there's going to need to be some serious moments, some serious times, some serious conversations. By all means, please have that. Grow these students. Don't just continue to give them milk. At some point in time, you have to give them meat as well. Everybody wants steak. Everybody loves steak, unless you're vegan or vegetarian. And at that point, I'm sorry. Whatever the equivalent is for you, have that. But the whole point is sometimes you have to move on to something solid. You have to move on to something that you can chew on for a while and not just quickly ingest. You have to be able to say, hey, I can break this down and understand what it is that's being said. If you can't do that, then we're spoon feeding people. And I'd rather us, especially this young generation, because man, I see too many students with a weak foundation of who Christ is. They spend a lot of time watching TikTok. They spend a lot of time watching social media and see these 1-minute clips of somebody talking about God. But one thing they don't know and they understand is that the time that they're not on screen, they're not living their life for Christ. And you have to do that 24/7. It's not a clock in, clock out kind of job. It's I'm on my job 24/7, 365, including that extra day for leap year.
Yeah, that TikTok theology just it hurts at times. It's like, because it just, anybody with a phone or a camera has a platform, and those can be very dangerous platforms, especially in this generation that like just they consume it at such a high rate and just are quick to follow, quick to want to emulate, who they see and everything. But the Bible challenges us to test all those things. So, and I can remember at that age, I didn't know how to test those things. I took for, like, if a youth pastor or some leader was speaking into my life, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I get it. Like, you're teaching me what I'm supposed to do. Like our teachers in school. Like, we trust our teachers to be teaching us the correct things. But like when it comes to the things of God, it's a completely different ball game there. There's more on the line than just like a college degree or a job. Like, we're talking eternity on the line with this. And so, like, I think that's one of the things with that is that, you've got to make sure these students understand, hey, check what you're watching. Make sure it goes up right with the Word of God. Make sure that you understand. And something I always told my students, like, context is key. You've got to read everything in the context. You've got to know what's happening before, what's happening after, what's going on in that time frame. Like, there's so much to it, and it's in the instant gratification time that we live in, we miss sometimes, like, hey, the gratification can't come instantly. Sometimes you got to work for it. Sometimes you've got to, like you said, chew on it longer, not just like the milk just swallows and goes down. You got to chew on it. Sometimes there's a little gristle in there that you've got to like work through, but ultimately, hey, it needs to take some time to take in.
Oh yeah. It's not just reading one particular verse. I shared this message during the school year. We did a series called Straight Out of Context. what we spoke about. We spoke on uh, verses in the Bible that's oftentimes taken out of context. One of my favorite is it's one that athletes use all the time. It's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Yes, reading that one verse, that one particular verse, it's great. I love it. It's a good verse. But you also have to understand why Paul is saying that. You have to understand why he's saying, I can do all things through Christ. He was in prison. He was tortured. He went through so many things. And that's why he said, I've gone through all of these things. Because I've gone through all of these things, I am still here. I can do all things through Christ who has given me strength. Because of his strength, because of the strength that he gave, I can do all things. It's not because, man, I sat on the couch for a month straight and now tomorrow I'm going to go run a half marathon without ever training. But I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Yeah, he gives you strength, but he also tells you, hey, I need to go work and put in some time to get where I need to be or get where I want to be. It's not just going to be given to you just because you have Philippians 4:13 written on your helmet, on your socks, or written wherever. You got to go put the work in.
Yep.
And so as youth pastors, your job, our job, isn't just being glorified babies. When churches and parents invest in youth pastors, I hate that statistic that's out there that the average lifespan of a youth pastor is 18 months. That's a year and a half.
Yeah.
That means a student that goes through sixth grade and graduates. So for that 6 years that they're in school, they'll have, 4 youth pastors. That's not a lot of time for a relationship. That's not a lot of time to pour into somebody. By year 1, you barely opened the door to build and grow relationships. And now you're saying you barely have the door open, barely got your foot in, and now you're going somewhere else. Invest in the youth pastor, invest in those students, and understand that it is going to take time. It's going to take time. It's not going to come just in day 1, and all of a sudden you got everything that you're wanting. No, put in some work, brick by brick. Put in some work and get it done. Those students are worth it.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't see 4 youth pastors throughout their time as they're in student ministry. They need to be seeing you. Now, some things may come up, some things may happen. It's out of our control. That's not for us to control. But as youth pastors, it's our job to say, hey, we're gonna invest in this generation that's coming up. And the reason why churches should invest in youth groups or youth pastors, because they are your next ones. They are your future adults, and you want there to be a smooth transition from kids to youth to adults. Because when there's an easy transition in between all of those, now you're just replicating easy transitions. No one likes to trust a tough transition or a rocky path. Everybody wants to go through something that's easy. It's not difficult. So I'm gonna ask you one. This is gonna be my final question, and it's gonna be an easy one because I already know the answer.
Okay.
It's gonna be a softball question. I'm just gonna lob it up. Knock it out the park, right? How do you see mentors being beneficial to not just students that's inside of the youth group, but also the youth pastor being mentored as well? And it could be by another youth pastor, it could be by a senior pastor, it could be somebody from inside the church. But do you see a benefit of the youth pastor being mentored?
Absolutely. We all need that person or persons in our life to be able to decompress to talk to about the good, the bad, the ugly, all the different things that come along with it, that we've got to have an outlet somewhere. And like when you're married, you can't just have that person be your spouse. It can't be your kids. It can't be someone that's like directly associated with you, because there's the bias that comes along with all those things. Because you love those people in your life, and they're more than likely going to take your side if you've got some that are real and you're just completely off, like they'll tell you, hey, you're off. But most of the time, somebody that close to you is going to be like, hey, I've got your back. I see what you're saying. I agree. It's a real biased side of things. But when you've got a mentor that, has been through those types of things that you've been through before, or is done ministry alongside you or with you, I years ago, we attended a youth pastor conference, and in that, there's something that I'll never forget, and to this day I still have this. It's sitting on my desk. I have a Funko Pop of Abu from Aladdin sitting on my desk, and everybody's like, "Why do you have Abu sitting on your desk? Like, why is it just in the box and everything?" And Abu was utilized as an acronym for ministry, and this works with everybody. And basically, you should always have somebody above you in ministry, somebody that is, you know, uh, feeding into your life, somebody that's leading you when it comes to the ministry that you're working in. Like, we've all got our lead pastors that, are speaking into our lives and are watching over us. They're our shepherd in the church. But then you should have somebody beside you doing ministry, somebody that you're doing this along with, that you're in that same season with, somebody that you are just like, hey, we're going through this together. But then also somebody that's under you in ministry, somebody you're discipling, somebody you're feeding into, somebody that you're, helping to raise up to be that next person that take your spot later on. Like, the disciple side of things is just crazy. And so, like, it's something that I don't forget. And like, going in with that is a mentor. That's somebody that's beside you or above you, or a combination of both. Because I can tell you, my predecessor is younger than me. The ones that I took over for, and it's an interesting story. This is one of the ways that God grew me when it came to ministry, probably the most in my entire life. Because at the time, before they came to our church, there was a lot of people in the church asking, like, hey, are you going to be the next youth pastor? Are you going to be the next guy? Like, and in my heart, I was like, yes, I hope so. Like, I really want to be the next guy. I want to be the youth pastor. Like, I had been called, and I knew I'd been called to be a youth pastor in my life. And so I was really hoping that this was going to be the time. And when I got the news that, the pastor was bringing in this couple, I was like, oh, like, it's a gut punch. But at the same time, it was like, what? I told God, I was like, look, these guys are coming in. I'm going to serve them the best that I can. I'm going to be their biggest support, their biggest help, everything. And I'm just going to serve under them. And because of that, the 4 years that I got to spend with them, like, he's one of my mentors. He's one of those guys that I can call up. Well, I can WhatsApp up because he's in Spain. So, it's not easy to call him up. This is like 7-hour time difference. So it's a little bit different. But like, I can reach out to him and be like, hey, look, this is what's going on. This is what I'm experiencing. And it's like, hey, I know what you're going through. I know what you're feeling. But at the same time, like, he'll tell me how it is. It's like, if you're off, like, hey, dude, you're off. Like, this is what you really need to look at. And you need those people in your life. Like, you've got to have those people in your life, because if you don't, it's real easy to just go off the rails. You can get, we could go through all the different things that can happen when it comes to ministry with that. But like, the need for mentors is just, you'll never convince me that everybody shouldn't have a mentor or somebody like that in their life.
Absolutely. Now, that's you hit the nail on the head, because it's important. We all need somebody that's going to turn around and say, hey, I got you. Hey, let me show you this. The loneliest person is the one that's doing everything by themselves. Oftentimes, that's the weakest person as well. You think, hey, I can handle everything by myself. I'm doing everything by myself. I'm strong enough for it. No, it's the person. The strong one is the one that says, hey, I need some help. Can you help me with this? Show me how to get it done. Show me what to do. That's the weak. That's the strong person. That's the person that has your back. And it's to be, just like you said, it's to be that be that person as well to somebody else. One thing that I love being able to bring people along with me. Why? Because somebody brought me up. I've sat at tables that I had no business being at. And then when I get invited to a table, that hey, cool, let me bring somebody with me. Anytime I have a speaking engagement, I'm trying to bring somebody else with it. Why? Because it's important. We got to do things for others, with others, instead of just being alone. So I love that. Brandon, thank you for jumping in on this episode. All of you for watching. Thank you guys so much for checking it out. Make sure to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your youth pastor, and say, hey, I got your back. Whatever it is that you need. Plus, man, if you are not already doing so, man, one, get involved at a local church. To help out. If you need a good place to help out in youth ministry. Sometimes, and they need somebody back there. They need somebody there. I'll never forget my first night at a youth meeting, Man, I was in a college ministry. I was in Chi Alpha, and they were trying to bridge the gap between youth and Chi Alpha, so they put some of us Chi Alpha leaders there to help out with the youth ministry. And there was this kid on the basketball game. He's talking trash to everybody. He's like, man, I got you. I'm undefeated. I can't be beat. Hey, he's giving them the business. He's talking a ton of trash. I'm like, all right, get back, kid. He's like a middle schooler. I'm like, get back, kid. I got you. Come on. Let's go one-on-one. I destroyed him. He's like, no. We're going to go back. We're going to play again. Destroyed him again. And it was after that night that I said, you know what? I'm going to show up every week. I'm here on Wednesday night. I'm here every Wednesday. That's exactly what I did, and that's how I got in youth ministry. So get involved. If you're not involved in this church, get involved. If you want to get involved, go reach out to your youth pastor. I promise you, don't be like, oh yeah, we need some help. Go help out. Go be a part. Go make a difference in this young generation. Peace out. Y'all have a good one. Thank you, Brandon. You have a good day.